We're back with Michelle Bernard and Chris Cillizza for more of the Politics Fix, and it's getting near the end of the week. We have a final word. By the way, we just got the word on last night's vice presidential debate. The audience, the box office. Take a guess, Chris Cillizza. What was it last night?
Well, Chris, I'd like to guess, but the producer told me.
Okay, you honest man. 69.9, just about
Chris,
70 million people.
Chris, I hear it's 69.9 million. Is that right?
I think your guess was absolutely
You're brilliant, Chris.
You're spot on, as we would say in Britain. Spot on. Well, that means about 20 million more than watched the presidentials. And, of course, next Tuesday night, Brokaw's going to be doing, our own Tom Brokaw's going to be doing the presidentials again. We'll see if Tuesday night's a better night than last Friday night. But obviously, we're going to get about 60, 70 million watching that one. And I'm going to move ahead to that. I just want to move ahead to that because I really think that's the question I'd like to move forward tonight. Chris, you first on this. Give us your take. John McCain is facing what looks to be a set of poll numbers out that it's got him about 7 points behind and is starting to gel. Like Jell-O. It's just starting to, people are getting used to the idea of Barack Obama in the lead. They're getting used to the idea of slowly of him being our next president. Does that mean he has to do what, I hate to use the cliche of the year, which is game changer? Does he have to pull one?
Well,
does he have to pull one? Do
Chris,
something different.
To your first point, I talked to a Republican consultant today who's been looking at a lot of these numbers, and he said to me, things are starting to harden, that McCain is behind and people's views are sort of getting cemented, that there's not going to be a lot of change. So, yes, I mean, look, on Tuesday we will be 28 days, 1 month from Election Day. John McCain is going to have very few opportunities other than Tuesday and October 15th when he's got 40, 50, 60, 70 million people tuning in to rejigger the dynamic of this race. I think it's harder than we make it out to be. You know, we go into all these debates asking for the game changer, who's going to win and who's going to lose. These guys have been at it for a long time. You know, they're both professional politicians. They usually don't either win or lose so that it's so clear.
Well, what if he does something like this? Suppose he just throws the, the dirt ball, if you want to look at it from the Democratic side, and say, you know, we can talk about issues here, but I've never gotten over the fact that you spend a good part of your adult life hanging around with Jeremiah Wright, who hates America. And it makes me wonder whether you're truly patriotic like I am. Mr. Barack Hussein Obama. I mean, really get tough with the guy. I mean, tough. Can he do something like that, really throw the cultural bomb at the guy and say, you're not one of us?
You know, Chris, he could. My guess is, though, and I do think we're going to see this, we are going to see Jeremiah Wright, we are going to see William Ayers on television. I don't think those words are going to come out of John McCain's mouth. I think it's going to be either his campaign or some sort of outside group. It's too dangerous, I think.
Will he throw the bomb and try to change it to culture and get away from the economy, which is killing him?
No, he can't. The economy is the only issue that the American public cares about right now. He can leave culture issues to 527s and to negative ads, but on Tuesday night, people want to know who's going to get us out of this mess.
Well said. Michelle Bernard, as always. Chris Cillizza, thank you, buddy. Join us again Monday night. We're back, and it's time for the Politics Fix. Michelle Bernard is an MSNBC political analyst. Chris Cillizza covers politics for the Washington Post. Chris, I haven't heard from you in a while. I now want to know what happened last night. I want to know what happened from your unique perspective. Did you believe that there was something beneath the rather well-done veneer in the presentation of Sarah Palin?
Look, Chris,
is there something below the surface that suggests thinking, originality, conviction?
I think she does have convictions. I think she was very nervous last night. I think you saw it in the beginning of the debate. You know, for an old hand like you, Chris, being on TV isn't nerve-wracking, but it is nerve-wracking, I think, if you're Sarah Palin. She was nervous. Her voice, you could hear it sort of catching. But I think she did demonstrate an ability to speak from sort of her talking points, and I do think some of her beliefs. Now, again, I think she stayed very, very close to those talking points. I think she tried to bring everything back on the domestic front to energy. She brought a lot of things back to John McCain, his maverick reputation, her record in Wasilla as the mayor and then the governor of Alaska. So she was not sort of expounding and thinking off the top of her head, no, but I think she knew that she had to get through this for the good of the campaign. So I wouldn't judge her by that one night.
Is there anything you heard from her last night that couldn't have been done by any B+ college grad? In other words, if you have a week and a half with somebody to prep them, you set them up for about 10 or 20 topics, and you have an answer taught to them. Is there anything that she showed in her ability last night that a smart kid coming out of college couldn't have done last night? Anything that showed her? I'm going to go to Michelle on this. She recited answers that are off the shelf. They were not original answers. What are we learning from this?
Well, if you look at what she did last night in the context of the 3 television interviews that we've seen her do, she pulled off a miracle last night. I mean, most conservatives that I know were really thinking that last night was going to be the end of the McCain campaign and that it was going to be a disaster. So she showed that she's a quick study. She got through the debate. If she had had one major gaffe last night, it would have been over.
Memorized answers are predictable questions. Where is the intelligence in that? I'm telling you again, I'm asking you again, what college grad couldn't have done what she did last night?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm asking you, Chris, it seems to me, if we're talking about the ability to recite coached information, where's the talent? What's smart about that?
Chris,
what does it show?
Chris, I don't necessarily defend her, but I will say that
you punch the button energy, you punch the button the budget, you punch the button taxes, and in each case the person has an answer to respond with the button. And in each case she gave the button response. I just don't know what it shows us about her.
I do think, Chris, you may be judging her a little too harshly, given that she is the vice presidential nominee. The job of the vice president, and Joe Biden did this last night too, although I grant you he was clearly more fluent with issues, not looking down at his notes a lot. I grant you that. But the job of the vice president is to advocate for the president. We all know that, and we know that if you look back in history, by and large, who the vice presidential pick is does not materially determine who wins the election. Everybody remembers the 1988 debate. I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. You didn't know Jack Kennedy. Well, George H.W. Bush won that race, not Michael Dukakis. So even with that great line of Lloyd Bentsen, it didn't wind up working out. So I think we probably put too much on it. The job of the vice president during this campaign is to advocate for the president's position. I thought both of them did that relatively well last night.
The job of the vice president is to be with the president and counsel him or her on what the wise choice of action is.
Chris, that's in governing, not the campaign.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. This is what this is about, picking the next vice president of the United States. This is not Jeopardy. This is not a TV quiz show. It's not the dating game. It's about whether this person should be one of our top leaders. I had Orrin Hatch on the other night and said, who's leading this country? Bush ain't.
Yeah.
Who's running the country tonight? Chris Dodd and Barney? I mean, who's calling the shots? It is a little scary. We're in an airplane right now that's in turbulence, this country. We don't know what's going to happen to the stock market next Monday. We don't know how many more plant closings are going to be. We don't know what's happening to our currency in the world right now. This could be Zimbabwe in a couple of years, and we don't know it, and we're trying to pick leaders, and we're going through some spelling bee way of picking them. It's a little scary. Sure, she can memorize material that she's taught. But what does that teach us about her? That's all I'm asking.
Well, I mean, I think the question to be asking is, what does it teach us about John McCain? And I disagree with Chris in one sense that normally you're only looking at the top of the ticket, but let's face it, I think in this election, if John McCain wins or loses, it's going to be because of who's number 2 on the ticket.
Right. Who's going to pick the next Hank Paulson? Chris, who's going to pick the next Hank Paulson? Who's going to pick the next General Petraeus? We're talking about wisdom at the very top here, and there's the number 2 job. I don't think it's about recitation.
Chris, I don't think it's about recitation either. And I'm not arguing this point of view, but I will tell you the McCain campaign will say, we've got plenty of experience in picking the next Hank Paulson, picking the next David Petraeus. His name is John McCain. Sarah Palin brings something else to the ticket, that outsider. You heard her say, you know, I may not answer the questions the way you or the moderator wants to answer. Yeah. The McCain campaign thinks that's great because they think it speaks to this urgent need to have different kinds of faces in Washington. Again,
yeah, but you make it sound like the job description is Dana Perino. You know, it's all right if Dana Perino doesn't know what the Cuban Missile Crisis